Hazards. Today I want to talk about a threat that could be a problem for many people in the near but certainly in the distant future. So what is this threat? I'm talking about floods. Well, floods will be a more and more bigger problem in the even to these days and certainly in the future. Why? First thing, global warming. You know, the rising of the sea levels, more extreme storms, and such things. Those will contribute to a rising cases of floods. It could be local floods, it could be floods throughout the whole area, even bigger parts. Imagine the parts in the world that are lower, that are laying under the sea level. We think about Holland, Bangladesh, and such countries. When the dikes break, a whole province will be underwater and a lot of people will be affected. So, other problems, even when you live in a city, modern city, people think the water just go away, but that's actually the problem because the water cannot be taken in by all the construction and the concrete, so it has to flow to the lowest side. And in the big city, a lot of this water gets pumped away by pumping stations. So imagine when these are broken, understaffed, or some other issues where they are not functioning. Metros, subterraneans, parking lots, lower streets that are laid lower. Those will be all flooded real quick in big cities. I can assure you that. Other problems like even in rural areas, dike breaks, rivers get overflown because of projects. Water cannot be taken in by the soil fast enough, or just heavy rainfall in certain areas will be causing floods. Even when your area is relatively safe, even an area that's higher up, like in a hill kind of regions, when there is rain, it will flow to your place where it probably wouldn't be a problem in early years. So that's all some things to watch out for. And that's actually the first step in preparedness against floods. That is, know your area. I would advise to look up some history of the place where you live. Go to the authorities and look at maps. Ask about problems that were in the past, or look at the depth of your area. So I would advise to just look some information up. Have a map, a geographical map, and look where your house is, look where waterways are, calculate the depths, and see if your area is risk to a flood when rivers and such get overflown, or certain areas are designated as flood areas for too much water and such. So know your area, learn about the maps. So that's the first step. Be informed. Knowledge is power. So, when you live somewhere when there is starting to become a flood, like heavy rainfall, other problems, global warming, I don't know, could be anything, could be something stupid that perhaps happens once in 10 years, perhaps something that starts to become a problem every year, so you have to be more prepared for it. So first we're gonna talk about bug-in preparedness for floods. So that's why I'm going to start with this. So what do we think when we look at the news about floods? We always see people with sandbags, which is a good thing because sandbags depends also on your house. So know your house, know where water can penetrate, what kind of building materials you got. Let's just say you got caught by surprise. Water starts to rise, you don't have time to get your sandbags in order and such. what are the first thing to do? Well, I would say put everything that you want to save higher up. Put your things like machines, computers, and other valuable things that you don't want to get wet or broken. Put them higher up on tables or on the second floor if you have one, or on the attic. Try to save as much as you can. That's the first step. So do some damage control. Second step is take out the electricity. Like take everything electrical out of the plugs, because you don't want that air conditioning or computer or whatever be put in a plug while water is rising. Water, electricity is not a good day. So take all the electricity out. Beware, even when you put electrical devices out, they still could have like a spark in it. You know, when you touch your car and you get a shock of static electricity, imagine that, but higher when you have an electrical device out and it still gives a shock. Could be dangerous, not something to worry about that much, but some people are very prone to it, like people with heart problems or with muscle problems, so something to watch out for. Alright, I would also advise to put your electricity off, like your fuse box when it's laying lower, or electric cables, so you don't get shocked when there is a hole in one of the wires and it will mix with the water and you're standing in water, so that's also not a good day. I would also advise to just look at the news for when and heavy rainfall. Like the weathercast, when you hear there's going to be a week full of rain and you live in a prone area, that's a sign to start preparing and take these measurements in front. Alright, next. I told you about the sandbags. So, what do sandbags do? Actually, many people just think, oh, I'm gonna put some sandbags, water will not get through. That's not really that simple. First, take some tarps that are waterproof, by the way, and put them around areas like basement windows, your doors. Try to build a little dam with the tarps and put them up. Then you can put the sandbags on it, because I'm gonna put this away. Because what do sandbags do? The sandbags take in water, they swell up, and that swelling causes that the area they need to close off gets bigger and get closed off. So first tarp, then sandbags, so they can swell and lock off the area you want to keep dry. Take in account that even when you put these sandbags on, the water can rise, overflow, could happen, or just your building materials will get soaked. Like some modern walls are lightweight and they get penetrated by water easily. So be careful for that. Next thing, just another thing about the sandbags. When you do not have those sandbags that can let water through, you can try with just garbage bags if you want to try. It's just a possibility. A yes you have, and no you always have. So you can always try. Talking about you don't have such. This is just a trench tool, a shovel, a little shovel. It's always handy to keep this in your home because when you don't have a garden or something, you can go quickly outside and dig some dirt up, put them in your garbage bags, and try to save your house from the water that way. So just an entrenching tool, always be handy, and usually it's in your survival preparedness anyway. Alright, next, buckets. Buckets, yeah, you always see them in the on the news during floods. People who try to scoop water out of their house. When it's in, it gets in, but you can try to save, do some damage control. Always have a bucket in house. to scoop water out or to get dirt from somewhere else. Carry it, put it in your bags, and try to build a sandbag dike in front of your houses. So buckets, very important during floods. Oh, another thing you can do with this is you can fill this with clean water in case in the aftermath of a flood, because you will need drinking water, and probably because of the flood a lot of particles and chemicals will be in the water, so it will not be drinkable. So fill this with drinkable water before the flood, just in case help is not getting on the way right away. And it's also handy for cleaning your hands, cleaning wounds, cooking and such. So think ahead, be prepared. Buckets never go wrong. Alright, next. This, if you can see it, is folding, how do you say this? A telescopic ladder. It's very light, very small. Why do I put this? Would I put this in my preparedness for floods? Because when the floods get higher, you might have to evacuate to a higher place. Perhaps that's a building across the street. Perhaps it's your own roof. Perhaps you need to break a bit of your roof to get to a certain part higher up in your building when you don't have a second floor. Very handy. And also for rescue operations, because when you're prepared but other people not, that doesn't mean you don't have to help them. So you can go with a party and try to help people who are in trouble, help them up to their roof or anything else. So you can carry this through the flooded street and help other people. Alright, next. This is a rubber dinghy. I don't know if you probably see it. It maybe sounds stupid, but it is for a kids blow-up boat, for like outdoors and such. But it can be handy to I would not say to transport. You could be transported with it to a safer area, but I would advise to use such one of the cheaper boats just to help other people who cannot walk right, small children, so they don't get affected by the water, and you can help them evacuate to a safer area. You can also improvise some boats. Just think about empty water bottles, a drum, or anything that can be filled with air, even plastic bags. Fill them with air, put some netting around them, just bind them together, and you can build an improvised boat. So that's just another way to think ahead. Have always some materials on standby. If not, improvise. And it will help you a lot when things are getting very desperate, especially when the water gets higher. Try to think ahead and try to salvage some materials, get them upstairs in case you need to evacuate because the water gets too high and help is not immediately coming on the way. So this is a small view about bug-in flood preparedness. So now we're going to talk about bug-out preparedness in floods. So what do we use for this? Actually, these are many small things, so I will try to get through them ahead. First things first. Oh. Proper clothing, because what is the biggest danger in floods? Many people think, oh, I'm gonna get taken away by some water. Actually, that's a very big danger, but it's not you will not get damaged by taking away. It's the cold. You will get how do you say this? Hypothermia because of the cold water and because you get wet. There's perhaps wind and you will freeze. You will lose your body temperature very quick when you're wet in a cold water. It's a very underestimated thing about floods. So imagine when you try to walk outside. Oh, I forgot about the stick. Oh, never mind. When you walk out and even when the water is only 30 centimeters high, perhaps something like this, it has enough power to drag a person on his feet, let him fall, and he will go with the flow, which is very dangerous. You don't want that. Even when the water is like 60 centimeters, which be to your knees, it has enough force to drag a car with him. So don't underestimate the height of the water. Even when the water's low, be careful because you can get stuck. You do not always see what's under the water. Perhaps there are holes. Perhaps some parts of the road got broken off and taken with the flood. So even mud and soil that is got full of water, they might get soaked. You get in there and you cannot get out because it's like quicksand. You get in, you get sucked in it, and it's harder to get out, or you fall over and get dragged by the low water. So when you get out, always carry a stick, a walking cane, or even just a crutch, so you can feel while you're walking in front of you, so you don't walk into a hole underwater that you cannot see. Very important when you bug out, and also to keep your balance. You have more balance on on two legs and one stick than just on your two sticks. And imagine when you wear all the gear, it's even then harder to keep your balance. So I was going to talk about clothing. Very important, one of the most important thing I would say, woolen socks. I'm going to keep hammer this thing. Wool is one of the best materials to keep you warm. It's perhaps heavier, but it will keep insulating heat of your body even when it gets wet. So that's always a pro in my book. So woolen socks keep your feet dry, warm. Get some reserve socks in case yours get wet. So socks, wool, very important. Next. Again, woolen sweater, keep your body warm because you might get wet above. There's perhaps wind. So woolen sweater, always keep it in your bag. Another thing is a balaclava, also yet again made out of wool. If you can see it, because when you have to spend a night in an area that is flooded, it will get cold. You will have to keep you need every body warm, so a mask where you can sleep in is very handy, especially when they are made out of wool. So a balaclava, very important piece during a flood. Next, to be honest, gloves, I would advise get some woolen gloves perhaps. But there is a certain factor you need to take in account, because wool, yeah, it will be warm, use this for warmth, but when you need to help other people, when you need to carry something, when you need to move during a flood, perhaps there are you don't want to get wounded. So I would say perhaps wear working gloves that have some protection against sharp objects. These are maybe not that warm, but when you're working in dirty water, you don't want any cuts that might get infected, especially when help is not directly on the way and medical professional help is not available. So working gloves to prevent wounds that might get infected, especially in your hands. You don't see when you want to you let something fall in the water, you don't want to pick it up and grab something sharp like a piece of wood that got drifted because of the flood. So working gloves, very important, and also some woolen gloves to keep your hands warm. You can also use your shamak, like an improvised hand warmer, when it's cold. Alright, next thing, I would say, you probably saw it already, I wear something very, very funny. These are like fisher pants. These are just like wellies. You know, also important when the water's low, you can just use some rubber Wellingtons to keep your feet dry, which is very important because even when your feet get wet, it will not take long before you get some hypothermia or freezing wounds, especially in cold water. So just get some Wellingtons, or like I wear now, fishing pants, which is for higher water, which it's also handy for fishing, but when you want to help other people and you have risk to get in deeper water, this is the way, especially when you wear something warm like thermic underwear or some woolen pants that you can make under it to keep your feet and legs warm. So you never go wrong with these the long Wellingtons. So these are actually easy to take on. You just put your feet through, get up, and you buy it to your belt. You can put it on in just 20 seconds and you can walk outside in the water. Next, when you bug out, a rain poncho, because when the flood is there, it's probably raining. So I would advise to wear a rain poncho. I will open this one up. You can put this on easily. Yes. There we go. So, just a simple rain poncho will keep you dry, your whole body. It's easy to put on, easy to fold up and wear. You can perhaps wear those, I would say those whole raincoats and pants, but in my opinion, you don't need much more than this, because everything above your knee level will get wet if you don't wear these Wellingtons. So this is just perfect. And also your bug out bag. You can put your bug out bag on and put a whole poncho over it, so this doesn't get wet either. So that's another plus point for just a military style poncho. So very important in your preparedness. You can also make some shelter out of it to when you're somewhere more safe, or you can, when you get on dry parts that are perhaps a little bit more wet, you can put it on the ground to sit on something dry when you fold this inside out. So, rain poncho, very important in a bug out. You can fold it up and hang it on your bug out bag. Just the bug out bag is just standard. This is actually my EDC bag, but it can also fit as my bug out bag. Just the standard things. Very important. You can see there is a canteen of fresh drinkable water, shamak, first aid, and all the good things. Water filter is very important actually, because especially in the aftermath of a flood, the water gets dirty and you don't want to get dysentery or other diseases from the water. So you always keep in your EDC bag or bug out bag a water filter. One that can filter the more things it can filter, the better, but everything is better than nothing. Which is also important to keep one of these two medicines in. The first one is a water purification tablets, just to be sure, because even when you filter the water, perhaps there are some things that get dragged in within, like how do I say this? Viruses that perhaps, because for a lot of people there is more waste in the water, so you have more chance to get a virus instead of only bacteria in the water. The second thing is if you can see it, Imodium, which is anti-diarrhea. Very important because when you're somewhere safe or dry, you don't want to shit all over the place, to put it frankly like that. And it's also for more hygienic, to keep the place more clean so you can stay there longer till help arrive. So very important to keep one of these two extra in your survival bag or EDC bag when floods arise. Alright. Next, I would advise to lifeguard vest, because it's something, like I said, even in small water you can get dragged, especially when you're bugging out and you have like I said, the EDC bag or a bug out bag. You fall and you might get stuck or something else. You don't want to get sunken in underwater, or you want to be able to keep above the water so you can breathe. So that's why you can put this on. This is just a simple life vest. You can just put one of those bigger lifeguard vests on, so the normal ones, but in my opinion they are too big, and yeah, they are cheaper, but you can also use one of these just in case you need them, because you want to have some space to help someone out of a window or help someone who has fallen or give first aid. You don't want this thing in front of you. You just want to use this in just in case there is danger. So you can have one of these, how do you say this, CO3 capsules. You just put on a cord and you have a life jacket instantly. But to be honest, I already used this one for a demonstration in my book. So in this case you just use the manual. You can just put this also like this. Takes a little bit longer, but when you have nothing else. Like you can see, there's just this pipe. You can take it. And yeah, I know it's kind of bulky when you start it up, but the same thing you can say about a regular vest. So just to be safe when you go into deeper things and you don't want to get risk, or you wear heavier material and you don't want to sink. So yet again, you can just deflate it by pushing this and reuse the vest again. So that's what I like about this. I'm gonna put it out after the video. So a lifeguard vest, especially I would call this one a tactical one. Could be handy, could save your life. Not really the first thing you necessarily, but you never know. I try to prepare for a lot of scenarios. So, smaller things. When you're in a bug out situation or even in a bug in situation, you will probably need one of the following things. First of all, this is a Goal Zero light. I like this because you can charge this by a dynamo or a solar panel. Even this model, you can put it on something higher, so the beneath it doesn't get wet. Gives a lot of light in one direction. On the lowest setting, like this, you have light for 400 hours, and on the high setting, like both sides, 8 hours. So that's something I find very good about this light. Next thing, just it has a dynamo on it, so even when you're stuck on a roof or in a building that doesn't have electricity, or you don't have a solar panel or power bank, I don't know what, you can still recharge this and have light. Light is very important during a flood, so a way to make your own light, very important. It's just something you can put in your daily survival preparedness. So as many things I have shown you here. Next thing, one of those emergency radios, you know, this small thing has a antenna. It can be loaded by solar panels, by batteries, or even, yet again, with a dynamo. With this thing, small thing, I could receive transmissions from even abroad, England, Germany, France, Italy, even one time from Spain. So this would receive everything you need about the developing of the situation. When is help coming? Where is help coming? How many days of rain will there be? How worse will the situation get? So something very handy to put in your survival and in your dugout for during a flood. So always handy to keep in your preparedness. Next thing, which I'll take. Yet again, people will have seen this from my previous videos. This is a headlight. Just put it on your head, and you have both hands free to help people to clear rubble or to get through your things in the night in your shelter while a flood. So yeah, so just handy. Keep your both hands free, and the battery lasts 3 days when you use it sparely. So that's also a good thing about this. But I would more rely on the Goal Zero with the dynamo, just in case. You know my opinion about batteries, so that's the reason why. Next thing, actually in during bug-out, like I said, wool. This is my woolen blanket. I put some ropes around it so I can wear it with my bug-out and EDC, even under a poncho. When I get in shelter, I can roll this open and use this as a sleeping bag, even when I'm wet, and try to dry and even keep warm. This will keep you warm even when you're wet. This thing saved me a few times during hikes when I got wet during a small flood. So woolen blanket, I'll keep saying it. It's a lifesaver. So if you don't have a woolen blanket, you can use one of these. How do you say this? Emergency blankets. You fold this open and you can put it. It's not very strong material, but it will keep you warm. Another benefit of this is visibility, which is also another part of the bug out or even bug in situation of a flood. You can fold this open and it will reflect orangey, copperly reflection to perhaps a helicopter, people, rescue crews in the distance. You can wave with it to be more visible. You can reflect light with it. Very handy multifunctional thing, but I would prefer the blanket to keep me warm rather than this little thing. So another thing you can use for drawing attention is just like with the Goal Zero light, flash it to draw attention. Use a flashlight and try to do some Morse code. The Morse code for SOS is short, 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 long, 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 short, short, short. SOS, in case you ever need to put that signal out. You can also, I don't have my cell phone with me, which is like a rookie mistake. Even with a cell phone, you can use the light of your screen to wave it. Use a cam light. Watch out that they are not old. You know why if you watch one of my videos. Yeah, and you can call for help or use the maps in case you want to get out of the flooded area. But a map will not be that. I would say a compass will be more easy when you can say, I need to go south to get to higher land. Get that knowledge in front, because when things are flooded, you don't have many recognizable landmarks you can use even on your cell phone if they are still operating, or on paper maps that might get wet. So put those in a plastic bag if you want to use them. Get the use of them in a bug out situation. All right. Another thing, just Don't forget your cell phone to call for help or let a loved one know that you're safe, or they can give your location to the rescue groups. Just another thing, just some cash, your wallet, identity cards, your keys, just regular stuff. Oh, and also could be very handy. This is, if you can see it, this is a microchip with pictures of all my documents, identity, insurance, my deeds of the house or the car or my bank accounts. All that information, I took pictures, put them on a drive, and store them in a plastic waterproof case, just in case when my house gets flooded and all my papers get destroyed. It would be hell to prove that all this belongs to you, and with the insurance and identification and such, you know, it will be hell, but it will be made easier when you have all your information on your microchip information. I also put some a few gold bars just in case I need to trade something, and the electronics are done and people don't take cash anymore. Could be handy if the situation is desperate enough. And just now we are on the topic of identity. Dog tags. You can keep them around your neck in case you die. Might sound grim, but when I die and people find my body, I would prefer it they can identify me and warn my family about it. So dog tags around your neck in case you die or you get wounded and you lost your identity papers, or they do not know about your hard disk yet. So like I said in the EDC video, put your name on it, your birth, your blood type, in case for emergency operations or life-saving treatment. Yeah, very handy. Alright, I think that's about it about preparedness for floods, bug in, bug out. Perhaps I've forgotten some things, perhaps this was just glanced over, but these are the things you definitely need to watch out for when you prepare for floods. I hope you learned something from this video. I hope it gave you some ideas that will probably help you in the future. Be aware that if it's not happened to you yet, it could happen in the future. Always be prepared. Like this video, just subscribe, and all the good things. Leave a comment when I forget something, or when you think you have an idea about something I forgot. Bye, see you in the next video. Bye.